I've ordered a bunch of revision guides, and I'm going to give you the information that you need to make a sensible decision about which one's best for you. Although I've picked guides for GCSE Physics, most have versions for Combined Science as well, so stick with me. In the description is a list of links to these guides on Amazon. Now, I get a few pennies when you click on one of those links, but it doesn't cost you any extra at all, so you would be supporting the channel. So thank you for that. Now, one thing I should point out is that revision guides are just that. They're revision guides. If you know nothing at all about a topic, then they're not the ideal way of learning about that topic. You should look at your textbook and ask your teacher about those things. What these guides do is they offer you a prompt and a reminder when you need to refresh your memory about a topic. They're a useful resource. They may also point out to you some of the details that you'd forgotten or didn't know. For that reason, they're great accompaniment to your revision. Now remember, reading a revision guide is not a great way to revise, and I've made a video all about that and good ways to revise. I'll make sure there's a link to it in the description. Now, all these revision guides have got good fonts. They're very readable and they know what they're doing. But one of them was new to me and it was a bit of a surprise, a bit of an eye-opener. And I'll save that one to the end. With AQA being the most common exam board, there's more revision guides available for those studying AQA GCSE Physics or GCSE Combined Science than there are perhaps the others. But I've picked a variety here and most of them are available for more than one exam board. I'm going to start off with a CGP Revision Guide. This one here is for Edexcel Physics, but there are versions for AQA. It's A4 size, there's about 104 revision pages in here. And there's also online extras included, including a digital version of the guide, quizzes and video solutions to problems. It's worth pointing out though, if you buy it second hand, you probably can't access those things because they can only be registered for once with each revision guide. Its style has changed little over the years, which is probably a good thing. If it works, don't fix it. I find the text quite dense in places, and some of it is black on white, which may be a problem for some students. However, it's broken down into very manageable and clearly labelled sections. There are a few revision question pages with links to online quizzes. Although you're given the correct answers to these online quiz questions, you do need to mark and keep score yourself, which is probably a little bit frustrating in this day and age. The diagrams in the guide are small but clear, giving more room for useful facts. Whilst there are some clear worked examples for calculations and formulae, there is very little practice in the summary questions. Right, here we have the Pearson Edexcel Revision Guide. It's also available for AQA. Like the CGP book, it includes access to an online revision guide. It's A4 in size and there's about 120 pages of revision material. This revision guide is set out as if it were written on lined paper. I quite like that, although there is still a lot of white background which can be tough for some. The pages don't seem as cluttered as in other guides, but in a way they can be hard to look at. It differs itself, however, in the way that it breaks down answers to long answer questions, which many of us struggle with, and this really is its strength. I also like the boxes at the top of each page where you can tick off your progress. Like most of the guides mentioned today, each page is broken down into sort of digestible sections. At the bottom of each page there are "Now try this" questions, with answers at the back of the book. Whilst there are not many questions, they are good questions for revision. Better than most, if I'm honest. These next two guides are a little bit limited in their scope in terms of exam boards. They're only available for AQA, so I'll skim over these quite briefly. The Collins Guide is available for AQA GCSE Physics and AQA Combined Science Trilogy. This Collins Guide is neat and straightforward, exactly as it seems to suggest with its no-fuss front cover. If you like things simply set out, without the distraction of lots of boxes and funny colours everywhere, then this one is for you. It really is a lot of white on black background though, so it's definitely not suitable for everybody. At the end of each section there are perhaps more useful questions in this guide than in others, but there are less worked examples. Right, now for the Oxford Guide. This is A4, there's 118 revision pages, but it is AQA only. The layout may be familiar with you if you've been using the AQA approved textbook. On each page in the revision guide, there's a link to the relevant pages in the textbook. Once again, there's a lot of white page here, which may well be tough going for you. And this is strange, because in the textbook, they do seem to use a bit of page colour for questions at the end of each chapter. The revision guide, however, does not do that. The pages are set out clearly enough, but are not broken down into small sections like in other guides. There are also summary questions at the end of each chapter, with answers at the back of the book, in very small type. If you found the textbook useful and want a summary version of that, then this guide could be for you. Right, before I give you the review of a little revision guide that surprised me, I just want to steer you in the direction of my website, where you'll find lots of free questions and worked answers and videos and other resources. I also offer one-to-one lessons and small group classes. There's also my live online Easter revision courses, which you can learn more about on the website. The links will all be in the description. Of course, it does help me produce more and more free stuff if you like, subscribe and interact by commenting. So now we have this little Daydream Education GCSE Revision Guide, suitable for all GCSE specifications. It's only A5, much more manageable, and it's got 119 pages of revision material. This compact revision guide includes a free digital guide and assessment questions. I've not looked at these assessment questions, so I can't comment on them. This book is obviously smaller than the others, but I'm impressed with the way they use the space. It's colourful with plenty of clear illustrations, and they manage to more concisely explain some topics compared with the other guides, which seem to just list what you need to know. I like this approach. If I was struggling with a topic, I like the way this guide could get me back on track quickly. With the guide being smaller, the text is also smaller, and that may cause problems for some. Having said that, I did need to put it side by side with the other guides to actually notice this. There are plenty of example calculations, but due to its size, it does not have space for summary or practice questions. But why should it? It's a revision guide. You can get a workbook for practice questions. This guide also somehow feels a little bit fresher than the others. Now, I need to tell you, I'm not sponsored by any of these. I'm not getting anything for reviewing them. But as a revision guide, I really like this. And I do appreciate that the font choice and the dense text in a few places may be a little bit off-putting for some. But overall, this small book packs a big punch. To go with revision guides, you can get revision workbooks, and I'll review some of these in a future video. Maybe now's a good time for you to look at the revision video I made, packed with useful tips. That'll be just here, no, there, oh, there, just there.